Hi dear students, good morning. Have a pleasant day. So, the last classes we have discussed about the first unit, that is called personality development. So, hope you have enjoyed the all lessons with the course of the course of heavy understanding that we have to be mold up our personality. So, before going to look after the second lesson, let me discuss with you the first lesson summaries. In what way we are molding up our personality? What are the things we need to be encourage our personality development? What are the things we need to do to motivate by ourselves? So, we have discussed so far that about Nick Vujicic, a famous entrepreneur, and we have discussed about many scientists and many personalities, those who faced problems, and lastly we have discussed about the N.R. Narayana Murthy. These all peoples, they have faced a lot of problems, a lot of setbacks in their life, but they did not give up. They have always coming up with their own solutions. So I hope that you have enjoyed the first unit, as well as I hope and I believe that you have changed a lot by listening that units. So today we are going to know about the second unit, that is the theme of the second unit is called wit and humor. Wit and humor. Dear students, what do you mean by wit and humor? What are the things inside of this wit and humor? What is the need of humor in our life? Why we need humor in our life? Have you any time noticed that humor played a major role in our life? Don't always be serious and don't always be a person with a contentment. We always must be have sometimes to be give ourselves to be leisure, ourselves to be make humor, ourselves to be make a joker. So that's the way we can change ourselves a lot. So today these lessons tells about, that means this unit tells about to how to be humor in our life. So there we can see the picture number 34. In that picture there is a rat and mouse, and mouse has trying to shoot the cat. So there is a questions related, that all questions you can read if you have textbook and answer it by your own, and you can make a story as your own by seeing that pictures. Have you seen the pictures that it is shown in the textbook? Yeah, this is the picture that we have to see, and I would like to request you to write a story as your own. You can write that story in rough book. Okay, so before going to the lesson, let us know the meaning of the first unit, that is called the Dear Departed. Dear students, in our home many dear and nears are visiting us. We may feel happy when they were visited. Soon after they are leaving, we may feel sad. Yes or no? Yes. But here we have to think what the story it gives us a lesson. Even though this story consists full of humor, that consists of full of joke, there is a bit of to think our relationships. So the Dear Departed, the first part, let us go to discuss. So as I said that this is a one-act play written by William Stanley Houghton. This is a one-act play that was written by William Stanley Houghton. He was a famous dramatist, and he got a major award or major respect from his country to return this drama. And he was shown this drama in Manchester. And he was become a reputed person by doing this drama. He showed how the modern society treating their elder ones as a relative ones. They did not consider any relationship. They only consider only money matters. The modern society, they changed a lot. Especially we say the nuclear family. Those who have a nuclear family, they are not at all considering, or they are not at all respecting, or they are not at all having the major role in any family relationships. They only focus on how to earn the money, how to earn a business into success. They forgot to develop, they forgot to mold up the families. So, in this story also, you can see the human beings become an human misbehaved in the face of greed, minor, mighty things. Second, we can see that the story how shows we can compensate swallowed by greed in the society. Then again we can see that socially relationships have forgotten here. These are the things that we can see in the one act play that is called The Dear Departed. So let us come to the story. Who are the characters in the one act play? The characters are in the one act play are Mrs. Amelia Elizabeth. They are the daughters of Abel Meriwether. Next, Mr. Henry, Mr. Jordan. They are the husbands of the followers of Amelia and Elizabeth. The last character was Victoria, a 10-year-old lass or girl who was daughter of Amelia. So these are the characters in the one act play. So shall we go to the lesson? So dear students, I request you to open the book, page number 35 if you have. When the curtain rises, Mrs. Slater is seen lying the table. So as I told you that this is one act play. So there was a picturization or description about Mrs. Slater. That is none other than Mrs. Slater, Amelia. So when the curtain opened, she was lying on the table. She is a vigorous, plump, red-faced. What do you mean by vigorous? She was very cunning and she was very greedy. And plump, plump means she was very fat. And red-faced, she was always to be a greedy person with the matter of her own decisions. And vulgar woman prepared to do any amount of straight talking to get her own way. So this was the description of Mrs. Amelia or Mrs. Slater. She was a woman with a greedy mentality. She was not at all a concern or not at all respect and not at all care and loving woman. Okay, she is in black. That means she is not appear to be black. She wore black dresses for to show some sad occasions. What happened? Let's see. She goes to the window, opens it and calls into the street. So the picturization you have to imagine by yourselves by reading that when she was going to the door or windows and she looks outside of the window and she talks that or she calls that, what is that? Let us see she calls someone. Mrs. Slater, sharply and crisply she was calling, Victoria, Victoria, do you hear me? Come in, will you? So she was calling her daughter Victoria. Here you can see Victoria, who was a daughter of Amelia. So she was calling Victoria, one who was playing outside. Victoria, a precious girl often dressed in colors, enters. So here you have to understand about Victoria, one who was 10 years old, was precious girl. She was not at all aware about any greedy meanings. She was a very precious girl. Mrs. Slater to Victoria, I am amazed at you, Victoria. I really am. Be off now and change your dress before your Aunt Elizabeth and your Uncle Ben come. It would never do for them to find you in colors with grandfather lying dead upstairs. Now the context has revealed here why Mrs. Slater was worn the black dress, because her father was dead and he was lying upstairs of her home. So she was calling Victoria and telling that she was amazed. She was amazed at seeing she was in color dress and she was playing like anything. So she was calling to Victoria that, Victoria, it is not good to wear this color dress. Before your uncle, that is, who is her uncle? Mr. Jordan. Who is her aunt? Mrs. Elizabeth. When these people came, that is not good for you to see like this. So you must change. Be off now. Be off now means you have to change your dress to be a mournful, to show mourn. Victoria asked her mother, what are they coming for? They haven't been here for ages. The poor girl, who was not know anything, she was asking that, what are they coming for, mom? Haven't they reached for here for ages? That means they haven't come a lot of years, and now they are why? What is the purpose they are coming? Mrs. Slater says, they are coming to talk over poor grandpa's affairs. Your father sent them a telegram as soon as we found he was dead. Dear students, you must listen to the words that what Mrs. Slater said. She can say in other way that they are coming for to mourn about our grandpa's left. Instead of saying, she was telling that what they are coming for to talk about the wealth and the property matter, because your grandpa was dead, so they want to divide up with the materials, so they are coming for that purpose. So you have to be change your clothes. So such a way a mother giving a consent to Victoria about Mr. Jordan and Mrs. Elizabeth. Now, the description of Henry. Henry Slater, a stooping, heavy man with a drooping mustache. What is stooping means? He was stooping means very bended. Like bended means you can see that a person never stand straight. He always be bended, stooping. Heavy man. Heavy man means very strong man with a drooping mustache. His mustache will be always down at sides. Enters, he is wearing a black tailcoat. Tailcoat means you can see that the coat with a V-shape, grey trousers, a black tie and a bald hat. You know that what is the meaning of bald hat? A rounded neck hat will be the description of Henry. The Henry asked, I am wondering if they will come at all. When you and Elizabeth quarreled, she said she would never set foot in your house again. Here Henry says about Mrs. Elizabeth and Jordan. He was asking, he was inquiring to his wife Amelia that I don't have any particular about the visiting of Elizabeth and Jordan. because they quarreled with you and they have given oath that they will never visit again. For this occasion, I don't know. I am not sure that whether they will come or not. Mrs. Slater said, she will come fast enough after her share of whatever father's left. You know how hard she can be when she likes. Where she gets it from, I can't tell. Here, what the reply was by Mrs. Slater. She said that, yeah, that is my sister, Elizabeth. She will never leave. She know whatever the assets, whatever the wealth that my father has. She will come and she will take it. I know that. And she will always right behind with that. I don't know how that attitude she has pursued. Then Henry said, I suppose it is in the family. I suppose it is in the family. For a satirical way, he said that word. When Mrs. Amelia said, I don't know where she's got that attitude, then Henry said that, it is in your family. It comes from your family only. A pause. Where are my slippers? Then he inquired for, or he changed the subject and he inquired for his slippers. Mrs. Slater said, in the kitchen. But you want a new pair. Those old ones are nearly worn out. Here, what happened? Henry wore old slippers that are worn out. Dear students, you just underline the word, that is phrase, that worn out means useless. You can't wear anymore. Nearly breaking down. You don't seem to realize what is costing me to bear up like I am doing. Dear Happy, do you know? Don't you feel ashamed to wear that all kind of shoes? So, what do you have to do? My heart seems to break when I see the little trifles that belong to father lying around and think he will never use them again. Here, you would better wear these slippers of my father's now. It's lucky he would just got a new pair. Now you just change that chapel or slippers and you just take which my father recently purchased because now he was dead. Now he is not going to wear, so you can have it and you can wear it. Why that old one you have to wear? So this was the suggestion from Mrs. Slater to her husband. Dear students, have you felt this is fair? One who dead and lying on upstairs and the daughter of the dead man has suggesting like this. She is how much greedy for the way she was behaved. Henry, they will be very small for me, my dear. He was very discontent with that statement. He was not at all liked that statement. And the person who was always listened to her wife because there is no option. He was like that person, Henry. And he was never rejected with his wife. Instead of rejecting his wife, he was giving excuse. He was telling that they will be very small for me, my dear. Mrs. Slater said, they will stretch, won't they? Honey, they will stretch. Don't worry, because that is rubber chapel. They will stretch. Now it comes to very small. They will stretch. No problem. You can wear. I am not going to have them wasted. See how the greedy. She is telling that what I am not going to have them wasted. I don't want to waste that chapel or slippers. She has finished laying the table. Henry, I have been thinking about the bureau of my father's that is in his bedroom. You know, I always wanted to have it after he died. The next satirical or next greedy things or next greedy matter we have to discuss here that first she tried to take his slippers. Secondly, she was eye on his father's bureau. What is meant by bureau? It is a table. It is a table which is used to write in news table. So she was eye on that table and she was suggesting to her husband that Habib, I'm very fond of that table. Shall we take it that one from father's room? Because there is no need of that table to be there. I like that table. Okay. Henry said, you must arrange with Elizabeth when you are dividing things up. Again, he was very disappointed with what Mrs. Elizabeth said. What he is suggesting that, dear honey, you have to do the things which are dividing up. This is not fair. He was suggesting. Mrs. Slater said, Elizabeth, the sharp she will see I am after it and you will drive a hard bargain over it. No, Habib. She will never listen. Even though I want to talk with her, I want to request with her, she will never accept it. What I am looking for it, she will always over it. She will after it. She will do the hard bargain for it. I can't do. I cannot do fight with her. So before she reaches home, let us take that table outside of his room. Henry said, perhaps she's got her eye on the bureau as well. Yeah, I know that. She also on the eyes on that bureau. Mrs. Slater said, she's got her eye on the bureau as well. Repeating words. Mrs. Slater again says, she's never been here since father bought it. If it was only down here instead of in his room, she would never guess it was in our own. See what suggestion Mrs. Slater was given. She was telling that, dear Habib, she does not know about that table, about that bureau. Don't worry that. Since she was not there when father was brought that table to that room. So before she comes, what we have to do? We have to take it that table and we have to keep it our home. Then she will never feel that the table belongs to fathers. So we can escape from that inquiry. Henry said, startled. What is meant by startled? Shocked. Shocked to listen Mrs. Slater's words. Amelia, don't do this one. This is very cunning. Mrs. Slater said, Henry, why shouldn't we bring the bureau down here now? We can do it before they come. See how the things happening here. Do we do like this? Are we have such a behavior in our lives? A person who was blood relation to us lying on the dead place and we are not considering him and we are look after and we are going after his wealth and assets. See, even though we can have some humors inside that, we have to think about the human relations inside of these words. Henry says, stupefied, I wouldn't care to. This is not good, so we should not do this one. Mrs. Slater, don't look so daft. Why not? That is, daft means foolish. Hey, don't be so foolish. Let us take that one. What is wrong with that? Henry said, it doesn't seem delicate somehow. whatever it is, whatever you say, does not seems to be delicate. That means it's not fair at all. Whatever you say, whatever you think, according to me, it is not feeling any fair. Mrs. Slater said, we would put that shabby old chest of drawers upstairs where the bureau is now. Elizabeth could have that and welcome. I have always wanted to get rid of that. For encouraging her husband, what she said, instead of that bureau, shall we take that bureau and keep it our room? So, what we have to do, in our room, there is a shabby chest, an olden table which is there. That table we can put it in father's room. When Elizabeth comes, she can have it. I don't want that shabby old chest, that means the shabby old almara there or table there. I want to get rid of that table which was in our room. So what we have to do, we have to replace with each other. She points to the drawers. Henry, suppose they come when we are doing it. Dear honey, just imagine that when we are doing such a things, at the same time, if they reach our home, what would be the things happen here? Mrs. Slater said, I'll fasten the front door. Get your coat off, Henry. We'll change it. What is the meaning that I'll fasten the front door? Fasten means lock the front door. For hiding this stealing, she is suggesting her husband that I will fasten the door. I will close the door, and what you have to do, you remove your coat. Okay, then we'll change it. Mrs. Slater goes out to fasten the front door. Henry takes his coat off. Mrs. Slater reappears. Mrs. Slater, I will run up and move the chairs out of the way. She was very eager to take that bureau from his father's room to take to her home. For that, she was very ready for that anything. Victoria appears at that time, dressed according to her mother's instruction. What mother said, do you know, students? She said to wear a black dress, which shows about one occasions. So she came house with that morning dress and asked to her parents, what have you got your coat of for father? She asked her father that why you are removing your coat, father? And he said, mother and I are going to bring grandfather's bureau down here. What was the reply of Mr. Henry? Dear, we are planning to take the bureau which is in grandfather's room to take our room. The poor Victoria, very fawningly or very discontentedly, she said that, what have you, sorry, are you planning to pinch it? Are you planning to pinch it? That means, what is the meaning of pinch? It is stealing it. So she was asking, are you planning to stealing, father? Henry was shocked. No, my child. Grandpa gave it to your mother before he died. So this was the class today. So what we have to see here. So up to now, just for summarizing the things that Mrs. Amelia, that means Mrs. Slater, who was trying her things to be done before death of Mr. Abel Meriwether. She wanted whatever she wanted. For that, she encouraged or she suggested her husband to take up all the things from her father's room. Here we can see that They are the two greedy people who are taking care of Abel Meriwether, and they were not concerning or they were not respecting that dead man who was lying on the bed. Instead of concerning or respecting the death of that elder man, they are only looking after the wealth and assets which is related to Abel Meriwether. So here we have to see that the greedy always lead us to make a trouble. The trouble which they have faced, we will study next class. Have a blessed day. God bless you, students.